The entire courtroom fell silent the moment Judge Harold Whitmore slammed his gavel onto the polished wooden bench. The sharp sound echoed through the chamber like a warning shot. Every head turned toward the woman standing calmly before him. She wore a simple navy blue suit, held a worn leather folder close to her side, and despite the hostility aimed at her, her expression never changed. What happened over the next few hours would not only shake one courtroom, but would become a story whispered in legal circles across the entire state for years to come. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness, respect, and second chances matter, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share this story with someone who needs inspiration, and subscribe to Beyond the Verdict. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories like this one. It was a bright Tuesday morning in downtown Seattle. Sunlight streamed through the tall courthouse windows, casting long shadows across the marble floors. People hurried through security checkpoints, lawyers organized their case files, and court officers prepared for another ordinary day. But for 48-year-old Dr. Vanessa Cole, this was anything but an ordinary day. Vanessa had spent more than 2 decades building a reputation that many legal professionals could only dream of achieving. She had graduated at the top of her class, fought tirelessly for equal access to justice, and dedicated countless hours to mentoring young attorneys from disadvantaged backgrounds. Yet, on this particular morning, none of that was visible. She had intentionally arrived alone, without assistance, security, or any indication of her professional status. The reason for her visit remained known only to a handful of people. Judge Harold Whitmore, a man with nearly 30 years on the bench, had developed a reputation that few dared to challenge publicly. He was known for his intelligence and efficiency, but also for his impatience and tendency to judge people long before hearing their full stories. Complaints had quietly accumulated over the years, but no formal investigation had ever gained momentum. Until now. As Vanessa entered Courtroom 7, she took a seat near the back and carefully observed everything around her. She watched nervous defendants await their hearings. She watched exhausted public defenders shuffle through paperwork. Most importantly, she watched Judge Whitmore. The morning proceeded routinely until a clerk accidentally misplaced a file involving a procedural review hearing. Vanessa, who had been invited by the court administration to observe anonymously as part of a confidential judicial conduct assessment, politely approached the clerk and offered assistance locating the documentation. Unfortunately, Judge Whitmore noticed only part of the interaction. His expression darkened immediately. Without asking questions or seeking clarification, he assumed Vanessa was interfering with court proceedings. In front of attorneys, court officers, journalists, and dozens of observers, he publicly reprimanded her. His voice thundered through the courtroom as he questioned her authority to speak and demanded she return to her seat. The room became painfully quiet. Vanessa complied. She returned to her chair without protest. But Judge Whitmore wasn't finished. He continued criticizing her presence, implying she lacked understanding of courtroom procedures and suggesting that people who didn't belong in legal settings should avoid disrupting serious professionals. Several spectators lowered their eyes in discomfort. A young law student sitting nearby looked visibly upset. Even one of the bailiffs shifted uneasily. Yet throughout the entire humiliating exchange, Vanessa remained composed. She neither argued nor defended herself. She simply listened. As the proceedings continued, whispers slowly spread among several attorneys seated toward the front. One attorney recognized Vanessa's face but couldn't believe what he was seeing. Another quickly searched her name on his phone, and his expression turned pale. Within minutes, a wave of realization began moving silently through the courtroom. Because the woman sitting quietly in the back row wasn't merely an observer. She was Dr. Vanessa Cole, the recently elected president of the State Bar Association. And she was there to conduct an independent evaluation of judicial professionalism. The realization struck the courtroom like lightning. One court clerk froze completely. Another attorney removed his glasses and stared in disbelief. Even the court reporter briefly stopped typing. But Judge Whitmore had not yet realized what was happening. Only when the chief court administrator entered unexpectedly and approached Vanessa with visible respect did the truth become impossible to ignore. The administrator addressed her formally, apologized for the disruption, and thanked her for participating in the judicial review process. For the first time that morning, Judge Whitmore's confidence disappeared. The courtroom became so silent that the sound of the air conditioning could be heard. Vanessa slowly stood, holding the same leather folder she had carried into the building hours earlier. She looked around the room, making eye contact not with the judge, but with the people who had witnessed everything. She explained calmly that the purpose of judicial authority was not to command fear, but to uphold fairness. She spoke about respect, dignity, and the responsibility that comes with power. She reminded everyone that true professionalism reveals itself not in how people treat those with influence, but in how they treat those they believe have none. No one moved. No one spoke. Some people in the audience wiped tears from their eyes. Judge Whitmore, whose voice had dominated the courtroom all morning, now stood speechless. In the weeks that followed, an independent review committee conducted a comprehensive evaluation of courtroom conduct and judicial procedures. Mandatory reforms were implemented, professional training programs were expanded, and discussions about dignity and fairness became central topics throughout the state's legal community. As for Vanessa, she never celebrated what had happened. Instead, she continued advocating for a justice system built on compassion, accountability, and respect for every person who enters a courtroom, regardless of their title, background, or appearance. Years later, many people forgot the details of the official reports. But they never forgot the lesson. That respect should never depend on status. That kindness costs nothing. And that sometimes, the quietest person in the room carries the strongest voice of all. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and share this video so that more people can hear this powerful message. Your support means everything to our community here at Beyond the Verdict. Special request, comment below with one word that describes what this story made you feel: respect, justice, hope, or your own choice. Because in the end, every person deserves to be treated with dignity, even when no one knows who they are.